This Week in Vegas, a bettor's view. I'm Marco D'Angelo, along with my partner in crime, Vegas Runner. As we do each and every week, we sit here and we talk about what's going on in Vegas. We tell you everything that's happening here in town with us, what's coming up for the next week, and we just, really, it's free flow. We just talk about what's going on.
Absolutely.
VR, it's Saturday coming up, college basketball. We're going to touch on two items. One, we're going to do, it's Bracket Buster Saturday. And they started this a few years ago, and it's a situation to try to get some of these,
smaller conferences, to show if they really do belong to, if they actually deserve to play these bigger teams. And I think they're the ones going in with the chip on their shoulders. And I mean, that's where I look at first, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. I mean, the mid-majors in basketball, I think there's some of the best, really good basketball being played. I mean, let's face it, football, it's just a different talent level.
Yeah.
But, in basketball, there's only so many people on the court at a time. So, guys want to get playing time. So they go to all these big schools that are already loaded. They don't want to ride the pine. They're going to go to these They go to these smaller schools, and
even guys from junior colleges moving over to those schools, that know they're going to go on the bench in bigger schools. And the other thing that people don't realize is these mid-majors have more mature players, because you don't get as much one and dones at Wisconsin Green Bay as you do at Kentucky. You do have a 4-year starter. You do have a 4-year point guard. So I mean, there's a maturity level with a lot of these teams that some of the more higher profile teams just don't have. These kids are 18 years old. The only reason they're even at college is because of the new rule, or else they'd already be in the draft.
Absolutely, and that's a great point. That you do see that, and I see it every year when we get to the big dance. And these teams that do get in, win that smaller conference, or get lucky and get an at-large bid, they make a little bit of noise.
They do. They don't have that. There's enough of a talent gap that in my lifetime, I don't think we're going to see a team, cut down the nets. I mean, even back with my type of school like Villanova, back in '85, they weren't a mid-major, man. That's a Big Ten, a Big East school. So even though it was a big underdog, it wasn't, a team like,
Raleigh, Massachusetts.
Exactly, but it wasn't a team like Valparaiso getting there, a Davidson getting there.
The closest that we've had that I can remember in recent years was George Mason.
George Mason
actually made it to the Final Four.
Davidson got real close with Curry 2 years back.
So definitely something to look at, but it's a different handicap. Remember, when you go to start handicapping these games, this is different. You're playing a team that you never see before.
Exactly.
So what you're handicapping, and it's a good practice for me. I call it my dress rehearsal.
Yeah, for the tournament.
For the tournament, because that's what you're looking at. The only difference in these games than the tournament games is that they will be playing it at somebody's home court. So it won't be a neutral like when you get to the tournaments.
But I think the player has an advantage here as well, because the odds makers don't have that, that public perception that they could really add to the line. They're not exactly sure how the public's going to view this, smaller team.
Yeah,
so they're more or less,
how are they going to look at St. Peter's?
Exactly. So they're more or less just thrown out of line based on their power ratings. And we've seen by how close these games are coming to the spread, their power ratings have not been very strong this year in either college or the NBA.
Good stuff. The other thing we want to touch on, this is NBA trade week.
Oh, yeah.
The trade deadline is Friday.
Tick, tick, tick.
You got to be careful. We've already had some major trades.
I've seen lines adjust in mid-afternoon in front of you, come down 2 points, and bam, I hear trade, right away.
Well, and the other thing that can happen, case in point, is if the trade is made late in the day, they're going to pull the player that's traded.
Exactly.
Obviously, because you don't want to risk him getting injured that night, before the to the new team. So you can get a late scratch that people don't know about. You got to be on top of things, watch the computer, and watch these trade wires. That's the beauty of the internet now. that when something happens, I mean, it's
right away. That's why yesterday, honestly, I bet Dallas when it went to -4. I wasn't sure if I was going to give it out as a play. I did like it, but I wasn't, making an official play. My reasoning behind taking Dallas, believe it or not, even though I liked the matchup and I thought the line was weak, was all this talk about Amari. And I said, if he gets traded, this line's going to jump. I'm going to have at least a nice middle opportunity if I end up not liking Dallas later.
Right.
So I mean, you could try to get ahead of the market, especially in them cities where a lot of these guys that come into the forum know these teams, know the information extremely well and understand whether they're going to make a trade, whether they're not going to make a trade, and you could get ahead of the market. But I think bettors need to be careful because the line, when it comes to that, is highly based on public perception, I think, and nothing else. Because even though the odds makers claim they have power ratings for every player, it's difficult to gauge how that player is going to react in a new system with new teammates. He might be worth an 8.65 on Team A, but when he goes to Team B, you might adjust his power rating 2 months from now. So, all they have is what they think he's worth today on the team he's playing for.
Right, and what you don't, that there's no way for them to factor in is what it does to the team chemistry.
Yeah,
how he gels with that team and how it changes. I mean, it's like a new relationship. I mean, you put somebody in there. There's adjustment period. You got to get used to them. They got to get used to you.
I agree, and what I've been seeing is, when a player gets traded, there's a huge adjustment on that team. And then when he goes to the team and you hear he's going to play, there's a huge adjustment made on that team. As if things changed, overnight. And it's just not how it happens, man. If it was that easy, you'd get these teams that make these big trades winning the championships year after year, and it just doesn't, equate to that.
I'll be honest with you, since we've come back from the All-Star break, I haven't made an NBA play yet.
Really?
And I'm having an absolute just kick-ass
Yeah, you've been sitting
season.
back. Yesterday I only had one, and it was such a huge board.
I'm sitting fourth, right now at the Sports Monitor with my NBA plays, and it's a situation that, I'm not going to make a play unless everything is right to make a play.
For one.
The season's long.
They ain't going nowhere, dude. They'll be playing in June.
Absolutely. And, case in point, we got, about 2 minutes to wrap up here. Tonight, we're taping on Thursday. You got a big game in the NBA tonight with Cleveland and Denver.
Yeah, with the new additions.
You got two factors that I'm just going to throw out there real quick on that game. Kind of like in football. You know how when we talk about the bye games?
Right.
Bye week, I always say, I like to take a team coming out of the bye that was playing bad, because they were focused and worked on some stuff to fix. And
When a team going in hot, you just killed their momentum.
You killed their momentum. They sit around, they're fat and sassy. What do you fix? And I got to be concerned, I think, with the Cleveland Cavaliers. They went in winning, 13 in a row before the break?
I had them last week on TNT.
Right, and now they haven't played in a week.
Yeah.
And now they made a monster blockbuster trade.
Jameson.
That's supposed to be the final piece to get,
I give the guy credit. At least the owner's trying, man, to do everything he can. Because he knows if he wins it, gets a championship, LeBron can't leave right away. You got to defend it at least.
We would hope.
Yeah, more times than not.
Right.
Players usually leave because they want that ring. Once you hit that level, that tier of player, it all becomes about a championship after that. And you see, guys going to different teams because of it. But usually it's the guys that win that end up staying, even though they're big marquee names. They usually tend to stay there because they already got the ring, the pressure's off. The city loves them to death now because they brought a championship. And they have, that feeling we got to defend it now. So I give that owner credit. He's doing everything in his power to at least bring LeBron to pieces. He brought him Shaq. Now he's bringing him Jameson. He's doing what he could for such a small budget team.
They got to get it
to get him there,
Well, hey, guys, 10
Time
minutes
flies when you're having fun, baby.
This week in Vegas, and just quickly, Vegas Runner's still #1 in college basketball.
Over 2 straight months.
Kudos to you. So
number 6 in NBA now. They can't stop us. Don't matter the sport.
It's a deadly 1-2 punch.
We're lucky we ain't going after the Olympics.
All right, he's Vegas Runner. I'm Marco D'Angelo. This has been This Week in Vegas. We'll be back next week, tell you what's going on in Vegas. Have a great week. Talk to you next week.